Good evening. Happy Friday. Perhaps it is happy Saturday, depending upon where you are on the globe. Welcome to one and welcome to all. Hammer Road, I see you're in here, or you were in here earlier. Thank you. And you as well. Have a blessed night. Tampa Supreme, how are you? Happy Friday. Trusting the day was wonderful. So tonight, or again this morning, we will be discussing cyberbullying, bullying, harassment, and doxing. But this time, it's going to be a small, minor shift in the paradigm, and that is with women being the perpetrators. A bit of house cleaning before I begin. Please make sure that you read the disclaimer under About Me before you begin typing in the chat. It is still in effect. That is not to say you are not welcome, but just be clear what that disclaimer says and what it means. Second, it has been brought to my attention that an individual who likes to build with others has been doing just that, even though that individual has been blocked from my page. It's been brought to my attention that they're building with subscribers on this channel. Again, grow your channels, but don't be sneaky and petty about it. And if you have information, at least say or give the person a little bit of credit. So, because you like to build so much and you're building with a lot of my subscribers, make sure you build and help my lupus fundraiser. And I will be posting that on my community wall. And I will @ you so that you know that it comes back to me, things that people do. So that's the word for tonight. Hopefully you caught that subliminal. And I know when it was done, it's being done during my quiet streams. Guess I can't block that, but as I said, karma is a you know what, and it'll all come back. What's done in the dark comes in the light. It's a perfect segue in to my commentary. Again, men are not always the perpetrators of bullying, harassment, cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is completely related to online social media. Unfortunately, not many laws have been put in place as of yet for adults. Mostly it is children, preteens, adolescents, and those who are vulnerable. So I've been working along with many others and trying to get legislation that will be an umbrella for those adults and older people online to safeguard their information and not feel as though all of the work that they've put in trying to grow their channels and be a mentor or inspiration to others ruined because of somebody who is miserable and bent on destroying that. I'm going to go ahead and leave my link for anyone who would come up, and there's no pressure, never any pressure, and share if they'd like their story that they may be going through, or perhaps would like to stand in the gap, if you will, for someone that may be going through this. There are a lot of women who, behind the keyboard, appear to be extremely aggressive, completely, in my opinion, delusional, and borderline narcissistic. Some of their statements and behavior, no matter how gingerly and softly you try to explain it, some people just don't listen. And it's unfortunate because a lot of these individuals think that they are above because they have so much on a resume. But from my vantage point, and what little that I know, and it's been backed behind people who are more well-versed than I, would tell you, but you would never show up on that platform because you were already kicked off of one attorney's by making a statement about, and I quote, Howard County doesn't have that many problems or one of the richest counties. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't on that platform. Had I been on that platform and knew, I would have spoken up, because what the lead attorney was trying to explain was, if you're not in the courthouse, how would you know what types of cases are heard? I'm in all of the courthouses in Maryland, from Southern Maryland to Bel Air. That covers just about all of Maryland, even as close to Delaware, which is off near the Eastern Shore. And I will let you know, Howard County most certainly had issues with domestic relations type cases. Some of the clients that I have who are attorneys had those cases. So again, your statement was inaccurate. So I'm not sure, because a lot of this is entertainment for many, if some of the heat of the spring that's permeating off of the asphalt on these YouTube streets are affecting those. And perhaps, as I said, this is entertainment, but I ran across a couple of things that I hope and truly pray aren't true. Because number one, if it is, I've lost total respect for that male. I think if this is true, and again, I see a lot of manufactured confrontations, if you will, for profit. And again, I'm not going to knock your hustle, but you do have other people watching. So it would be nice if some of the things that we see are not in that type of manner. And I'm speaking about sending photos personal photos. Again, I don't know if there's credence behind this, and if it is, knowing the history of this particular recipient, you should have known better. Are you that? Well, I'm not going to go there. There's consequences in all behaviors. And again, I don't know if there's any truth behind it or not. 90% of me thinks it's all a joke, but if indeed it is true, it's not a good look. And quite honestly, if it is true, the female and her response, you can add that to your extensive resume. That could be looked upon as criminal extortion. So you're not as intelligent as you may want people to believe. And during my work today, as I was sitting, actually looking for someone, I heard a broadcast. And the strangest thing happened. A moniker, if you will, a troll name that came up in one of my chats last year was a fake page. However, it mentioned both my name and your name. But this troll page, this moniker, went after someone else, totally unrelated, but that person's last name was put up. So more and more, my suspicions eat at me. And even though the football season is over, I'm beginning to think there's a lot of plays going on, a lot of backdoor conversation, and perhaps funds transfer. See, I said this before, and I know it got back to you because you like to flex when you get up on other platforms, and that's fine. But you will not do that here because you know I'll get up into that. Because unlike your resume that you talk about, I've actually shown mine. So again, I would caution you to be extremely careful when it comes to me. What's up, We Unlock? How are you? See, a common denominator in a lot of this mess that has gone on has been with just a handful of people. And unfortunately, a couple of the strong players have been women, older women. And I personally am getting tired of hearing and seeing comments. These older women or older women over 50, everyone over 50 does not behave the same. They don't. And when you sit and you post, you have lists and you speak about a person's appearance and threaten their livelihoods, which may be their channels, and threaten to disclose certain things, you do realize that could be deemed, depending on the jurisdiction and depending on the validity, as extortion. So for all the classes you say you have taken, and I don't know whether you have or not, you may possibly have done all of those things, but the sloppiness you're leaving behind tells me different. And you really need to be careful, because for every win you think you're getting, someone else is right there to punch a hole in it. So let me share the screen really quick. And again, to anyone who would like to come up and share their story, you may do that under an avatar or a different name for your protection, because truly, I understand. I'm going to share this screen, fair use. And I apologize for my voice. I'll try to give it a break, because I do have a very special guest tomorrow in for Man Show at 5 o'clock p.m. So make sure, and we unlock, I'm sure you are familiar with Information Man Show. So he'll be on the broadcast tomorrow. We will be speaking on Mexico, the kidnappings, Shanquella Robinson, Angela Bassett, and the Oscars, and finally, your thoughts on the Michael Irvin, former Dallas Cowboy, and his defamation case. So everyone is welcome. If you have any questions or you would like to be part of a panel, please feel free to join in. Welcome, Carl. So here is my screen. Hopefully you're able to see this. And you can look at the differences between criminal intimidation and extortion. Now, intimidation to me is just one raising their voice, blah, blah, blah. And then you see extortion. In this definition, and I'll put this in the link upon completion. The main purpose of extortion is to obtain money or any other valuable security. Valuable security can mean something different for each individual. The main purpose of criminal intimidation is to threaten someone to do any act that he is not bound to do, or to induce someone not to do anything he is legally bound to do. So again, you can find this by typing in a simple Google search for criminal extortion. And this right here, again, these could be rumors, these could be plays. I tend to think it's the latter, because I still cannot see in 2023, knowing this particular individual's track record with novelettes posted, emails, text messages posted, that anyone would submit anything of a personal nature. But again, I could be wrong. I don't know. Hypothetical. What if someone is threatening to share things I want to keep private, such as photos or videos? contact local law enforcement and report this to them. Block this person. Depending upon your privacy settings, people on Instagram can see a list of your followers and who you follow. There's a wealth of information here. So again, and I say this, if it is something you share and you don't want to get out, rule number one, don't share it. I know I have entrusted people with information, and if it ever comes out, I'm not going to back away and shy from it because I've said it. And truth be told, as adults, especially when you truly have never met a person and you share something with them, there's going to be that chance, especially if someone gets angry with you, that everything you've discussed will be splashed upon a community wall. Hey, Deidre, how are you? So I'm going to post this link again. I was expecting someone, but I can understand that situation where they may not feel comfortable. And as I said, you are absolutely welcome to use an avatar and a different name to share your story that you shared with me. I am not a therapist where I can guide you, but there's actually one that's in the chat that may be of some help to you as far as how you're feeling right now. I know you mentioned you were thinking about shutting down your page. Again, I cannot tell you what to do, but if you put so much work, heart, soul, and passion in starting your page, and you give this bully, unfortunately, a female, because I cannot place the title woman on someone who is that vile, you somewhat, in my opinion, give those people power. I can say that because I did that. I stayed away for a while. And it took a lot of intervention, a lot of interaction with other resources outside of YouTube. And I'm finally getting to, even though I haven't reached it all the way, a place of peace. So again, hopefully, if you do not come up, you're listening to this, and I'll hear from you that you're okay and you heard about that. Anyone else? The link is there if you want to get up to speak about this. Women, for whatever reason, and I'm not sure if it's all due to some type of mental disorder. I think pre-pandemic, we all have suffered some type of trauma in our lives, from loss. It could be loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a limb, loss, period. Especially if it's traumatic. And again, traumatic may mean something different to each individual. It is not, as some would have you to believe, limited only to those that serve in the military. You have people who are in law enforcement first responders. You have people that are in regular relationships. You have people that are being discriminated or harassed or intimidated on their 9 to 5s. That can be traumatic and lead to PTSD. So never believe that it is strictly related to service in the military. And I would like to add, in my opinion, because I am not a therapist, if there is a stimuli that triggers you to the point of, of mania or madness, why gravitate towards that? Why not stay away from those triggers? Some, you go right into the light and then you add. Not only that, some of you lay in wait for a person or group of people to say something that you deem is directed at you. If you didn't go to dark places and continue to look and dissect every little thing, you may not have the visceral and venom, in my opinion, that you're spewing. Because I can't for the life of me, and I've been around many different people, especially at the VA, who go through periods of mania. They don't go into the fire. They retreat to the water. So again, while I'm not downplaying and diminishing, I don't understand. I don't understand. Someone with mental health issues, and again, I think we all have experienced some at some point in time. Seems, and again, these are just my opinions. I don't see how one who experiences this seems to find satisfaction in waiting and doing everything in their power, or attempting to do everything in their power to bring misery, unrest, confusion, chaos to other people, and then sit and hide your hands. You speak about being regal, but your behavior cancels that out. Your own words can and will be used against you. And as I mentioned earlier, the moniker that made a vile remark last year in one of my lives went after someone else today. And once I get confirmation, if I get confirmation that same profile pic, because please know, not only does my team have everything, I have record as well. If it's the same, it's going to change a lot of things and add to this puzzle that I'm slowly putting together, which I believe a lot of this is manufactured. There should be no correlation between that vile remark made to me and then someone I have absolutely no idea who they are, but I know that they're on a particular platform from time to time, which makes me wonder, the very thing that you said was done to you. Again, I'm not saying that it wasn't. I've supported that because nobody, no woman, no man should have to have anyone go under their clothes, suggest vile and horrible acts to take place. But this particular moniker, Jeremy, and that's if you're listening in the bushes, jumped up on my live unbeknownst to me. And the statement was made, that's why I'm going to die with lupus. And then they mentioned another person's name. Well, this same Jeremy person popped up again today in someone else's chat. Someone else that I know, you're on their heels as well. So are you making fake profiles? You do know I have the identities of 5 that came after me last year. I just haven't released anything. See, my team doesn't jump out of the window. We wait and we watch patterns. But again, if it is determined that that profile pic matches what was in my chat, and the mere fact everything else was so appalling, this one you kind of blew off. And I found that odd at that time, but with everything else going on, that may have been minor. But we won't know until I get confirmation. And I'm really, really going to start unleashing, because I'm seriously getting a bit sick of it, as many people are. And as I said, I will not go to any other person's platform and air my grievances unless they ask me to. And I'm not going to speak on someone else. That's what my platform is for. I'm not going to go on someone else's platform and use obscenities left and right. And I'm definitely not going to go to someone else's platform and make remarks against the protected class. For example, LGBTQ or whatever the alphabets are. I'm not sure. You must know, with all of the education you claim to have, that can cause a person to lose their channel. But with all of this temperature testing, perhaps that's your goal. I'm not saying that it is. But looking at the history, It's not far-fetched. It's not hard-fetched. I've watched people come in and people come out. I've heard, and I really don't like to speak on hearsay, but I've heard of transactions. I've actually seen what some people say were, again, I deal with authenticated documents. Anybody can alter a document. 10 and 11-year-old children, they've learned how to do that now. So when I'm really, truly involved in a legal issue, I do it the right way. Next, if I am that threatened by an individual, and if I have filed such paperwork in the court, you can easily upload that to YouTube. And while it's under investigation, you won't have those problems anymore, at least not from that individual. To me, I thought that would be the end goal. But as a wise man said, if that's done, some people may not have content. And if that's the case, and this is where I'm bringing it home, is this all a money grab? Because a lot of acronyms have been thrown out. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. And again, I ask, and this is for anyone, if there's a stimuli that's causing this, why are you drawn to it? Is it because you know that someone else has filed against someone, to include YouTube, and you see an exorbitant amount, possibly, or perhaps a handsome settlement? Could that be motivation? I'm not saying that it is. I'm just asking a question. A lot of jargon, in my opinion, should not be shared with the public. It should be shared with law enforcement or those that are helping you with a case. You never show the opposition your playbook. Another area that was sloppy was a photo and a statement of being the guardian of two young girls. But you're on an adult site, even though not everything on these sites are explicit. And out of your own mouth, you've mentioned how you can get down and dirty. Where are the two little girls during those actions? You see how this works? You see how when you open your mouth, and you try to dig a hole for others, how someone just has to and blow you right in, it's not that difficult. Because just as some have taken to the phones to call other people's places of employment or their households, someone may do a wellness check on these alleged young little girls that are under your guardianship. And again, I don't know if there's credence to that or not, because unfortunately, people are dishonest and they'll just say whatever. But if someone did a wellness check, would they be wrong? Because you've done the same thing, allegedly. What's up, writers? Hey, Universal Tea with Marie D. Durrell. Sorry I wasn't watching chat. Usually when I'm in my zone, I don't. TMK Media, We On Lock, Carl. And who said, oh Lord, We On Lock? Yes, We On Lock. It's a interesting week on the streets. We On Lock says, I have to get up in an hour. Okay, but come by Sunday at 11. Okay, I have to remind myself of that. Maritza, King Me, and I'll make sure I put everyone up before I forget. So again, the link is there. I was expecting someone, but again, as I said, I understand totally. Going live and having some waiting for you to go live and have others come at you. It's not a good feeling. The only way you can stop these people is documenting as much as you can, making sure that everything is captured. Notifications are made. People, again, are blocked. If you have to change your passwords or add a layer of security, that's not going to weed everything out. Because again, behind the keyboard, you don't know who is who. And those, and I've said this before, who claim to be, and I've heard this before, which was a bunch of, you know what, I'm your biggest cheerleader. No, you are the biggest blocker, the biggest barrier, the biggest liar, if I must be honest, that I've met. And it is unfathomable that some of these young men have not been able to see through it yet, unless there is an incentive. And again, I don't know if that's true or not. These are just hypotheticals. There should be no reason for anyone to be continuing to dox people and shame people, especially women doing it to one another. Those that may have been vulnerable and wanting to speak and entrust that particular moment with someone. And then the minute they get upset, disclose their information. Not only the person individually, but whatever family, personal and private family information that was going on. That wasn't for anyone else to know. And what some of you may not realize as women, when you do that, you can break the chains of trust where a good, strong, true woman of faith or Black excellence comes along. And you may not even want to put yourself out there again because you've been burned before, because you didn't know. And it turns into a cycle, a gerbil wheel, when we are supposed to be the nurturers, the ones to uplift and edify. And some, not all, some of us continuously tear one another down. Some of us have the nerve to quote scripture, and before the very next breath is taking, MF is coming out of your mouth. You do know it's blasphemy. Perhaps some of you, since you like to quote verses, should study the book of Leviticus. Study it hard, especially those who like to offer classes, adult in nature. Yes, that's the book you should probably hold in your hand, meditate, and fall asleep with, because you may wake up cleansed. Some of you have talked, mocked, stalked, spoke on other people's looks. And I'm not going to go there. As we age, and age is a beautiful thing, and I am so grateful to my Creator to have made it to 54. Looks fade. It's your spirit and your behavior and the consistency of that behavior, which is important. And again, tapping that delete button doesn't erase your true spirit and what's truly in your heart. And whether some of you realize it or not, most of the time, it goes hand in hand. And I've said this before. I am not perfect, but I am not dark. I've said exactly what I've meant about individuals. It may not have been a pretty delivery, but it was the truth. My mom used to say, bless her soul, her anniversary of transition is the 24th. So this is a difficult month for me. And then Easter will be shortly thereafter. So I'm going through my grieving process as well, in addition to life. But I'm still going on by design and as a promise I made to her before our final goodbyes. Just because you may have been hurt, and let's face it, we all experience hurt and pain, doesn't give anyone the right to knowingly and willingly hurt others, especially when it's a plot to do so. Only you and that one man in the mirror, if you really look closely, can change that. And I believe people can change. I have. And I also know from experience, the Creator has sat me down many times. If you're in the chat, you are welcome to come change your name and change your avatar. You are welcome. Your energy is positive. It's positive here. The link is there. You can even whisper anything to hide your identity if that's what you're concerned with. But others need to hear stories. I was apprehensive at once upon a time, but I have learned sometimes we have to visit uncomfortable places to help others who are in those places that need to speak about it and release, or at least attempt to release that pain. And again, for those men and younger women, and I saw this a lot yesterday, please stop thinking every woman over the age of 50 acts the same, or behaves the same, or speaks the same. We do not. You have to understand some, not all, may be in character. Because for some people, it's truly about entertainment or the cliche, clicks and views. I don't get either, and I'm okay with that. As long as someone can walk away with something positive, I'm happy with that. And then the next day or the next time I'm live, if two people can walk away with something positive, and if it continues to grow, then I'm happy with that. But as I said, stop saying or try to stop saying all women over 50. You'd be surprised if you took the time to explore other content, what some of these women over 50, some in their 60s, are doing. MLW fishing fan, welcome. Happy Saturday or happy Sunday, depending upon where you are on the globe. Again, the link is there for anyone who may want to chime in with their opinions or any dissent. Not everybody is going to agree. Perhaps I'll see it in a different perspective. Maybe not. You'll never know. It's about learning and growing. But I do know that this bashing of women, and not only men, but I'm speaking about women over other women, we need to talk about that. We need to discuss it, try to find the root, and come to a solution. And communication is the first option. It has to be an honest communication. We cannot be overzealous and overspeak one another. I believe, and again, this is my belief, we're better than that. We should know better than that. You can debate, disagree, but it can be done with respect. No one should feel as though they have to be, quote unquote, run off of any platform. And yes, as a person mentioned earlier, there are some that are truly narcissistic. They hear only what they want to hear, and they use a condition as a crutch, or perhaps, in my opinion, leverage or justification for why they behave in the manner in which they behave. And I call it BS. There are a lot of people suffering, a lot of people that have experienced the unthinkable, and they don't speak and behave in that manner. And they definitely do not think of themselves better than anyone else. Writer says, a lot of women know better. I think they don't care because of them being in their feelings or didn't get their way. Writers, I'm not biting my tongue anymore. Life as we know it on this side is too short. I spoke in a members only video. And while I'm not going to share the video, I will say my mother was a Gemini, and she had this eerie gift where it's like she would predict certain things, and I've said this before, 24 hours would pass, and what she would say would come to pass. And sometimes I didn't even want to have conversations with her because it was scary to me. And as I've gotten older, some of that is rubbed off. The weekend, the 11th, I experienced what I would say is a sleep terror. And if anyone has ever experienced that, it's where you're conscious, but you can't move, you can't speak. It's like something is holding you down. Yeah, I had a difficult time trying to catch my breath. And come to find out, the next day, my cousin's husband had transitioned. So I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what. So again, his homegoing is Wednesday. And I've got to go back down there Friday to put flowers on my mother's grave. So, as I mentioned, sometimes that little voice might be telling you something, especially if you're in tune with your spiritual. I cannot respect those that'll play hymns and gospel and then turn right around and use the most unladylike language. Now, before anyone says, well, I've heard you say bad words, and you're going to hear me say them again. I never said I was perfect, but you're not going to hear me saying some of those. You're not going to hear me threaten anyone. I will let you know if your actions continue. I will pursue whatever actions are needed. So there's a difference in letting someone know that they're harassing you and you would like for their behaviors to stop. And you can do it in a way that's assertive, but not intimidating or harassing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my guest. Let me get my big apple head off of the screen. Hi there.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so very glad you came up. I am going to mute my mic. Everyone, please welcome Queen to the panel. Queen, feel free to speak on whatever you would like to, and whatever you may feel uncomfortable about, you do not have to speak on that. And again, welcome, and I'm going to mute my mic. Thank you so much.
So, greetings to everyone. Basically, I'm happy that I found your channel because currently I am being targeted and cyberbullied here on YouTube by a person that I'm told is known for doing this to other content creators as one of her tactics when she feels like you're not dancing to the beat of her drum, so to speak. I'm new to YouTube with my channel and everything like that, and this person befriended me based on the fact that I am a survivor of domestic violence. And I started a channel that I basically based advocating for people whom have experienced that. And basically, this person gravitated to me. I feel like they assumed that I was weak or whatever the case may have been, and that I would just become like another follower or just another weak person that follows behind them, and that they could control and like use my channel as another channel to bully people. um, but I stood up against this person, and then that put a target on my back. So um, currently I'm just standing up for myself and advocating for myself and taking the necessary I need to take legally to stop the bullying that I am currently being subjected to.
Okay, so again, welcome, Queen, and thank you so much for taking that step and being brave. Now, you said that this person is known, so of course, I'm not going to ask you to drop any names whatsoever. Um, and I don't want anyone to do that. When you say this person is known, has it been recently, or is this person known for like a long duration of time?
Yes, from my understanding, this is this person's second channel on YouTube, that they have lost a channel previous to the one that they currently have for doing the same thing, the bullying, the doxing, and everything that I'm going through. That this is their second channel. So,
And
yes, they've been known for doing this type of thing to people.
so, in knowing this, well, with my situation, YouTube, for me, added even more stress because what they wanted me to do, in essence, was relive it over and over by asking me the same. I had several different quote unquote support people tell me, well, send in the timestamp, send in the timestamp. I mean, it was repetitious. And after about the third time, I said, you know what? You're not going to run my pressure up. I see now this isn't going anywhere. It did serve its purpose as documentation, but I had to go outside of YouTube. And you may be, or you may not be privy to know that because of certain community guidelines that have not been followed and people have suffered emotional distress, there are current suits against those people inflicting these types of behaviors on others. And YouTube and Google has been named as well. I'm not sure if that is something that you've thought about. I don't know if you have a legal team, but if YouTube is the platform along with Google, and I think they may have another um, party, I'm not really sure, something I have to look into. That may be something you may want to think about, because if they have so called community guidelines that they've established, then they are responsible that these guidelines are established. And if you're showing repeatedly that individuals are not following these guidelines or they're infringing upon your privacy and ventured off into harassment and cyberbullying, then most definitely they should be held accountable as well. So that's something you may want to think about. Again, if you have a legal team, you may want to discuss that with them, and also Google to see pending cases against YouTube and perhaps use what you may find as a blueprint or module, if you will, to follow if you would like to pursue outside of YouTube.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me know that. Mhm.
Sure, sure. Any information I can provide, um, you can, if you haven't already, go on the FBI's website. And that can be, and I will be honest, timely, but they do respond. Let me see for the other ones here. Because I tried to give this information to someone else, and for some reason it didn't work. And I believe they may have had a firewall up. So, give me one moment. I'm going to share the screen. Fair use. Okay. As you can see towards the upper left hand corner, this is the FBI site, and this is the ICR form. And it may be stuck right now, but if you look, you can file a complaint. You have consumer alerts, industry alerts, elder fraud, common scams. But this is the area that you'll want. And you just follow it. Who is filing the complaint, victim information, financial transactions, description, information about the subject. This is really important. It would behoove you to try and attempt to provide all of the information possible. Any other information, and then it'll give you information about privacy and then your signature. And it's recorded online, and each district has their own FBI office where you can get in contact. Uncle Shook, how are you? Welcome. So, those are things that you can do as well. Again,
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, okay, got it.
Yes, so that can be an option. Again, a lot of these women are running amok. They like to always say it's the men. And yeah, there are men doing things, but tonight we're speaking about women on women. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm not holding my tongue anymore. Once I find out confirmation on who this Jeremy person is, then this puzzle that I'm trying to piece together is almost done. I think a lot of it is plays, perhaps money grabs. Anytime, I'll just say this from my own experience, anytime you hear somebody talking about sue, 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 sue all the time, That's something you should be cognizant about. Certain things, yes, definitely should go to a legal state, but everything, no. When you see that, you may want to look at that person a little bit more. And as I've said, unbeknownst to certain individuals, I've been looking at a lot of things. I'm not in certain sectors. Well, I'm not going to say sectors, but I'm not a member or subscriber to certain people anymore, um, for my own reasons. But I will say that there are certain people, if they don't get the attention they feel as though they need, then you'll see a different side and you'll be a target. Anytime someone makes something always about them, that's a red flag. It's never about one person. Everybody has a story to tell. So, again, that's a problem. I commend those gentlemen that give women a platform so their voices can be heard. Unfortunately, some, not all, take advantage of that. Some, not all, fabricate some of these stories. And like I said, if I find out the profile pic of this Jeremy person, then I'm going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that my suspicions were correct. And then I'm going to go at that person a lot harder. Right now, I'm just throwing subliminals. And I know they're listening. I want you to listen. I want you to listen. Because while you're sitting there following other people around, asking about who they're following, you're following people. You don't think that could be considered as aggravated stalking? So, again, ma'am, you may need to take 2 seats because you're not that intelligent as you may want people to think that you are. I just don't say a lot. I observe. I observe. But, Queen, you continue with your story and what steps, if you'd like to share, that you've taken thus far.
Okay, so basically, I have an attorney who did reach out to YouTube to advise them of the harassment that I'm being subjected to. Um, Also, I have filed several complaints to YouTube legal department as well, to no avail because the videos that the person did about me are still up. They never removed them or anything. Um, Also, I did file a complaint with the FBI, so they're aware of everything. I have several police reports to my local police department um, uh, on harassment, cyberbullying, social media harassment. So basically, as far as the legalities part, I've done all the work as far as that's concerned. Currently, is still harassing me on YouTube. However, they use others' platforms to do it as well as their own. So, what they're doing is they're like going on someone else's channel and it's them and the other person, and they're both like tag teaming and harassing me. So it's almost like the person is trying to not use their platform as much. So what they're doing is they're going on someone else's platform to harass me because they've been made aware of, um, all the steps that I've taken regarding the harassment. So it's like they're trying to find another slick way to still target me without using that.
And that, unfortunately, is commonplace. Um, there are a couple of individuals that will do that. One in particular, they won't use their platform as much, but they'll go to others. And again, I have said, I don't understand the mindsets of some of these men. If you know the pattern and the past of this individual, why do you continue to allow that to happen? There are certain protected classes of people that should not be attacked, and you're allowing this person to perch up on your platform, say these things. Your channel will be gone like someone else's was not too long ago. And I'm not going to say what the reason was because I don't know, but you're still allowing this person to do the same thing. That alphabet community, because I always get it mixed up, that's a strong group. That's something I wouldn't play with, and I would caution people to be careful and cognizant with who you let up on your platform because protected people have power. But what you'll notice is they won't do that on their own. They'll try to clean theirs up, and that's a problem. But as I've said, these same people that are peeping at what everyone else is doing or putting jackets on people. Again, this is about women, but some of these women are putting jackets on these men, calling them, you know, peds. That's as far as I'm going to take it. Show the proof that these people deserve these jackets. And for every finger that you're pointing at these other people, the person that you're supporting, you need to explain some of their behavior as well. As I said, nobody's hands are clean. I mean, I have a little bit of dirt on mine, but sanitizer will get that off. Some of you can bathe for months and you'll still have hardened clay because you have not come clean. You won't even be accountable for some of the things that you do. And that's the problem that I have. And at the same time, let people take care of themselves. Sometimes when you butt in too much, you make things worse. You add to the chaos. So, Queen, I don't know if you use a different platform when you go live, because again, if you put a lot of passion and time in building and your goal was to inspire others, especially with the domestic issues, and we know that is rampant in our communities, I think, and this is just me personally, that's a voice that shouldn't be dimmed by a bully. I understand the safety aspect, so you have to do what's safe for you and your family, friends, and loved ones. Because what I found when I went through what I've gone through, unfortunately, there are people who are totally innocent where I've gone live. And because they may have made a comment in my chat, these trolls have gone after innocent people. Hey, Lakin, how are you? So I'm not sure if that's something you've experienced or if that's a concern of yours. And I'll go ahead and mute my mic.
Well, it's definitely a concern. I have not experienced that because since the attack on me, I have not really been utilizing my channel. I have had to take several steps back and just deal with the legality part of it and just give myself, like a mental break because that is, very stressful to be wrongly attacked in the way that I've been attacked. I've never experienced something like this before, so it's very new to me, being that I did not come on YouTube with the intention of, having negativity spewed towards me, so this just kind of set me back. So, um, like I said, I'm new to it, so I don't really have that many videos, that many live streams. The few that I do have, it was just me getting to know my viewers. Really didn't get to know many of them that well because I had to, take a step back. But as far as anyone in my chat being hacked, I haven't experienced that. And I hope that, anyone that does come to my chat in the future, that it's a safe place. Because the type of content that I would be putting out, I would want anyone that comes to my channel to feel safe. And so, because it is a sensitive topic, domestic violence, anything that deals with abuse is sensitive, and my intention was just to provide like for people, who may be going through that, who did go through that, or just someone that's just looking for support, um, regarding that type of thing, because that is something serious. It's an epidemic, out here in our world. Domestic violence is something that many speak on, um, but I am a advocate for it. And like I said, I just came on here just to, for positivity. So to be having to deal with this has definitely took me off my square. Um, but I'm a strong person. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I know that I'm not going to let anyone silence me because that is a form of abuse as well, what I'm going through. Um, and so that's why I'm glad I found your channel. We were able to connect and you allowed me to come on your platform and to just speak a little bit about what's going on here on YouTube and wherever else, this social media harassment.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you decided to come up and reached out. I would like to ask a question again. If you are uncomfortable with answering, I appreciate your honesty with that. And again, no pressures. How were you initially? And you have to excuse my voice. Um, I'm trying to get it stronger. I have a live tomorrow evening, uh, and I've got to get it together. So you have to excuse me. But how did you know, or when did you know that you were experiencing being bullied by this female?
Basically, when I rejected her, because I basically like separated myself from her content because it became distasteful. And so I had a right to just, start separating myself. And I guess that offended her. And so that's when she started attacking me on her platform. She basically looked me up, um, And whatever she found, she brought it back to her platform and did the whole thing. I had never heard of doxing until my attorney told me that that's, what they call it on social media. Um, so at that point, when she started putting out my personal identifiable information and to put more out, she threatened to look more up and put more out. At that point, along with all the name calling she was doing, very vile, vicious, um, explicit words and names that she was calling myself and my family, that she doesn't even know us. I don't know her personally. Was doing towards me, just putting out a lot of things that are not true, not correct. That I knew that I was being cyberbullied at that point.
And when it initially happened, did you ever or did you have means to, excuse me, contact her to let her know that this is very uncomfortable and you find it harassing and you would like for this behavior to cease?
I did take to my platform to ask her very to leave me alone. I did several times, asked her to leave me alone in writing and verbally. And it just enraged her more. So it
Unfortunately,
didn't.
yeah,
Mm,
unfortunately, I was about to say, um, I've had attorneys say that sometimes, not in all cases, but sometimes, and you have to remember, it's a mindset. We don't understand, or we may not know what that other person is going through, but when you do put papers on certain people, some people will say, okay, I don't want this trouble. But the flip side, other people, as you just mentioned, that will just make them enraged. So you're like at an impasse. What do I do? Do I just say nothing, which I would never suggest, or take a chance and they then become enraged and go even darker?
right, right, absolutely. And that's what happened in my case. It just, fueled her fire towards me even more. So,
So fast forward to present day. How is the communication now? Is it the same? How is your emotional, spiritual health? Has it gotten better, or where are you right now? And where are the two of you right now, if you would like to share?
well, I mean, I don't have any contact with her at all, and I would like for it to stay that way. This person blocked every channel that she associates with. I've made sure to block. Um, and I'm just, trying to let law enforcement and the powers that be just work it out from there. Um, as I said earlier, it's been very stressful for me because I'm not accustomed to this type of thing. Um, it took me aback because, I thought it was going to be something positive. Um, that my intention was for coming on this platform, for YouTube and creating a channel. So, I mean, it's just, it's been hard. I have to be honest. It's not easy to be bullied. And I'm a grown woman, married woman with children. So, it's very childish, in my opinion, when women or anyone engages in this type of behavior. I feel like people should be able to, you know, like the channels that they like the content that they like, and no one should be able to dictate to them on what they can and cannot, or should and should not do. And this is the type of person that I'm dealing with. This is what she bullies people on. She's a dictator. Um, and if you come against her, then she's going to dox you. So basically, I've just been, you know, kind of back and forth with how I want to move forward with my channel. I'm not quite sure at the moment. I'm basically just trying to digest everything that has happened to me, um, and just put a stop to it, basically.
Well, it sounds like you've made the initial steps. You sound strong and positive that it's going into a positive direction, and that you've come to terms that this is what you're dealing with. I think those are good first steps. Um, do you ever have any apprehensions that, or do you ever have triggers that if you do post something that they'll find out?
Yes, that is a concern because I know that some of the subscribers that I do have, I'm pretty sure she's in that count. Um,
Okay.
I'm I'm pretty sure that, people that are subscribed to her, her minions, her, people that answer to her are in that count. So I do know that if I ever, post, or if I go live or drop a video, I know they're waiting, so to speak, on that. Um, and I just have to prepare myself for that if I want to keep going forward with my channel, and preparing myself for the harassment in my comments, everything of that nature, because I'm pretty sure that she's gonna send her trolls to say nasty negative things to me to affect me, you know.
I had that situation. Obviously, the the I don't even know what title I would like to give this person. I'll just say the big boss. I think sent some crash dummies last week, but didn't realize or look at the disclaimer on my page that it was monitored, and I quickly made my notification and let them know you should have paid attention to that. And one of them accused me of sleeping with someone who sent me a super chat.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and I'm like, okay, that had not happened. We're pretty close to maybe going on a year. But see, this is what happens when you're weak minded and you listen to other people who are actually throwing you in to the wolves. And now those three individuals are subject to whatever comes next. And the funny thing is, they have not been back. See, I'm not playing with these people. And
Mhm.
again, unlike some who tell everything, and that's why I'm saying some of these people are sloppy. You don't know what it is I'm doing. And when you're quiet, those are the ones you really need to look out for.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's best to say less. Of course, stand up for yourself, document, but going backward and forth, I'm not going to do. Men may handle things differently. I'm not a man. I'm not going to get into men's business. I really do hope, and I've said this so many times, that people could try and get along, but I also know that there are certain things that some people may find is not salvageable. That's honestly something that you and your creator or higher being or whomever you believe in That's something you have to get right with them. I've mended fences with people that I never thought that I could. Those that I thought were my biggest cheerleaders actually turned out to be on the opposing team. So you just have to be cognizant of who is who. And you said something really important earlier about minions. There are people that actually follow who you follow. They may not say anything to you, but they're following you. Like the gentleman that was in here earlier, he's gone to sleep now. I don't know if you can see the chat, but it's Uncle Show. Excellent editor. People have their opinions, good, bad, with him, everybody else, including myself. But I had an individual message me and ask. No, they didn't even ask. They didn't even greet me. They just said, "So, you're following him?" And I'm like, "This man has done absolutely nothing to me. If I see something in any chat that I may feel uncomfortable with, I'll speak to a person, a couple of people in the chat, and I leave out. But I found that to be odd coming from that particular individual when you don't come to my chat. You don't support my chat. You used to, but I guess you fallen underneath of the female agent of chaos. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, when you disagree with an individual that has a large following, it could cause a problem. Not for me, but for some other people, because some other people they need that recognition. I don't. I really don't. Um, and I believe that there are many that because they're getting that recognition, even if the individual is wrong or may say something that they truly don't agree with, they're not going to say anything because they don't want to be excommunicated. And I'm not that person. If you say something and I'm in disagreement with it, I'm going to let you know whether you like it or not. It's not going to be in a disrespectful way, but I can't sit here and bite my tongue. I don't care if you make $1 or $1,000,000. Right is right and wrong is wrong. So that's where I think the problem is. And there may be some that will say later, well, you keep saying something about recognition. No, if I see you in a chat and I speak and I know that you see me speaking and you don't say anything, number one, as a man, as the alpha male you say you are, what's the problem in speaking back to a person? I didn't ask for a conversation. Speaking is just proper etiquette when someone speaks to you. Plain and simple. But again, when you have someone, for whatever reason, has an exorbitant amount of influence over you, or you allow that type of influence, anything is possible. So you just have to carefully watch the people that you interact with. And unfortunately, it's time consuming. It can be a headache, but you may even have to add to that layer and vet some of those people to see what exactly they agree with and don't agree with. Again, we're all individuals. A lot of us like comedy. There are people that roast. I enjoy some of the roast. I don't enjoy the darkness. That's something you can't control, but you can leave and not participate in it if it bothers you. It's up to the individual at the end of the
Mhm.
day.
Right.
Hey, Andrea, what are you doing up so late? And Universal Tea with Marie is still here. But yes, Queen, so you mentioned your family. Now with me, although difficult, I try to hide a lot of that because it's stressful enough. And you mentioned that earlier. Did you ever find, or do you find yourself hiding certain things from your family? And do you feel guilty because, you know, with the family nucleus, you're supposed to be sharing, but at the same time, I feel as though I still need to protect and not bring that to them because it's enough going on to deal with. And so to add something like that, I try really hard to mask it as much as I can. I'm just wondering if that's something that you do or you may have done initially.
Initially, yes, I did, but internalizing is not healthy. We all know that. It's not really good to withhold things that can affect your mental health. So I try to steer away from that as much as possible because in my past, I was known to be that person to kind of like, hide things and just bottle up and everything like that. But as I've grown and healed from a lot of the trauma, that I had to deal with years ago in my life, I'm at the point to where I don't internalize. I'm very open with my family, with my children. I do have an adult son that I'm very close to, and he can pretty much tell when something is bothering me. I can't hide it from him. And then my husband, I'm very open with him. So no, I don't, really bottle up. I like to share my feelings. Um I'm an empath, so um, I can feel someone else's energy, and my energy can be strong as well. So it's kind of hard for me to hide my emotions from people.
Okay, you mentioned being an empath. I've heard that in the last couple of weeks. For those that may not quite understand what that is from your perspective, could you let the audience know, and those when they catch the replay, in your own words, what an empath is?
Well, for me, I'm very empathetic. I can feel like my discernment. I have a third eye. My discernment is very much on point at all times. Um, I can. It's hard to explain. People have different experiences and definitions of what an empath is, so I can only speak for what it is for me. Means for me, and for me, like I can read a person's energy, whether it's good or bad. I can pretty much tell them how they're feeling before they even express it. Um, I can connect with people based off their energy. If it's good or bad, I can feel that before they even speak to me. Um, like I'm always on another level as far as energy goes. And that's the best way I can describe it for myself.
Do you find that that has been a blessing or a curse or a combination of the two?
Combination of the two.
I knew you were going to say that. Um, amen. If that's
Right.
proper to use right now. Um,
Yes.
I love trying, and please, everyone, understand I said try to help and listen to so many people, but at the same time, I can tell you that the ones that I have helped and listened to the most, unfortunately, were the very ones, once they were able to catapult themselves into the position where they need to be, they have literally given me their backsides to kiss. And at first, it hardened me. I will be honest about that. But then
Mhm.
again, I was sat down and learned that I should not change who I am just because of what other people may have done. And while it's difficult and I don't go out there as much, I'm still not going to shut everyone off. I've closed down a little, and that's something I have to deal with, and I can be honest about that, but um, I'm not going to give up on people, not just yet. And I'm not sure where you are with that.
Well, it can be heavy
Yeah.
to
Yes,
be an empath, for me, it's something that I can turn off, so to speak. Um, it just seems like it's something that I was gifted and it's not something that I could just say, okay, well, today I'm not going to be able to feel anyone's energy. It's just something that comes over me to where I'm able to just relate to people on a higher level. Um, Also, I'm a humanitarian. I like helping people, so being very supportive, encouraging people. Um, I'm very helpful. I like to provide resources and answers to things, and I work through different lens sometimes, and that can be worse as well. When you feel like that you can help the world when you really can't. You can't help everybody.
absolutely. That was important
Yeah. So,
because,
yeah,
yeah, when you feel as though you can help the world, but then when the world is on your shoulders and you're looking for people to help you, it's like, okay, I'll get you back or I'll hit you back. And they never
mm,
hit you back. So
yeah,
it's like you have to be two, sometimes three times stronger. I'm not sure if you
right.
feel that way at
I
times.
do. Absolutely. Yes, I do. You have to be, the skin has to be thick, and you just have to lick those wounds. And that's kind of what I'm doing, right now with this situation is, just recuperating and debating on which way I want to go, because no one deserves to be abused in any kind of manner, whether it's physical, verbal, this social media harassment. Like, nobody deserves that. But at the same time, we have freedom of speech. And if they're able to be on these platforms bullying and being vulgar and, spewing negativity, then hey, us positive people, we should be right here as well. But how do you balance that? You know, how do you balance the good with the bad? Is the impasse that I'm at right now with debating, do I want to go forward with my channel, because I just don't have time to entertain bull, you know? And nobody wants to go through that, especially if they did not set out to have to go through that. but the world we live in is negative. So, I mean, at the same time, I'm telling myself I shouldn't be surprised, because
Absolutely.
a lot of people use these social media platforms as a means for treatment for their mental health, instead of actually going to get professional help. They get these channels, or they become people in these chats, and they're using that as a means to vent the things that they're having challenges with, whether it's at home or it's just within themselves, you know. So, I mean, in my opinion, social media has become like a cesspool of mentally unhealthy people.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure if you saw him in here earlier, but he was one of the gentlemen on the cyberbullying panel. Coach D. Durrell, he is a licensed therapist, and we spoke about this a couple of times as it relates to mental health. And
Hmm.
what you just said absolutely mirrored what he said. And Marie, I'm not sure if you're still in here or not, I'm so sorry I missed this comment. It says, yes, that happens. Oh my gosh, I was attacked tonight, but I just keep it moving at this point. So you see, Queen, and I'm not laughing like hee, I'm laughing like really this. And Marie is way in a different jurisdiction than I am, and I am not going to say that. And the next time I have live streams, I would normally ask people to let me know where they're coming in from. I'm not even going to do that anymore because people have gotten so treacherous. I'm like, I'm not even going to open
Hmm.
anyone up to that because you just don't know anymore. But Marie, I'm so sorry that someone attacked you, and you have a beautiful personality. Is
Hmm.
that, oh my gosh. It's like, just like you said, you come on to be positive or to present your content. I feel as though, like this, you're going to have some people that don't like what you have to say, or they may have a difference of opinion. That is
Hmm.
okay, but to attack you, that's something different. And
Right.
I would like to know, how does one even begin to find a solution to stop or get through to other women? You can disagree with me, sis. You may even get me to see things from a different perspective, but the attacks don't need to be hurled.
Hmm. Well, see, in my case, I didn't even do anything to this person to make them attack me. Like, there's no proof of anything. There's nothing exists to substantiate her attacking me. So, I don't know if it was just my content that spoke to her, indirectly. To this day, I don't, I don't understand it. Like, it was just one day she woke up and just flipped on me and started attacking me.
Well, I believe, and again, I'm not a therapist, but I've been around for 50 some years, so I've gained some wisdom. And I will say, and again, it's my opinion, but it's a strong one. I do not believe people just wake up being dark and nasty and rude.
Right.
I believe it
Mhm.
may come out of them suddenly,
Mhm.
but I don't believe people just wake up being that way. I think it's
Mhm.
something that's deep seated and
Mhm.
may have been dormant, and something possibly could have triggered them. Andrea, hey Andrea, how are you? Has left a message, and it says, I call it a soulful being who understands own spirit, others misunderstanding, I'm sorry, own spirit, others misunderstanding my mystery of righteous God given connection. Absolutely. Andrea always drops gems. And I think it is um, a battle of spirits. I think good spirits and bad spirits really feel one another, and one has to go. Either the good will recognize it right away and rebuke it, or the bad will have to flee. How do you feel
Hmm.
about that, Queen?
I totally agree. Yes, Andrea, I totally agree.
I'll leave
Yeah.
that up on the screen.
Hmm. I mean, it's like your good energy is rubbing their demons wrong, and they can't take it. What does the devil do? He flee, especially when you pray for those type of negative spirits to flee from you. And I am a praying woman, so I'm not complaining that things happened the way that they did, and this person is not affiliated with me anymore. It's just the attacks, as a result of it.
Absolutely. And you said something very poignant, and I mentioned it earlier before you came up. I'm not sure if you heard me, but there are some, and this is what bothers me because, again, I am not, and I repeat, I am not holier than thou, but I am spiritual. I mean, I have to be dealing with all I deal with. There are some that use, unfortunately, the book or passages or scripture, and as I mentioned, in the same breath, will use the most vile, obscene language and behavior. It's like they're two spirits fighting one another. And you can hear it in the voices of some of these people. They'll be
Hmm.
calm one moment, and then it's like an entire different entity within that individual.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure how deep you go as far as your spirituality and your beliefs, but I believe sometimes people are dealing with internal spiritual warfare. It not
Hmm.
only comes out in their behavior, but you can see it sometimes in their eyes. I kid you not,
Hmm.
but you can definitely hear it in their voice because it will
Hmm.
change. It'll go from calm to almost a growl, an
Hmm.
evil, demonic growl. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I have, and it's eerie to me.
Yes, I have experienced that with this person. Speaking of it, when she was attacking me on one of her videos, it like it wasn't even her. And it's giving me chills right now just thinking about how she sounded because to be honest with you, I'm spiritual, but I'm not holier than thou either. But I do know the Bible. Um, I went to Catholic and Christian schools, elementary, junior high, and high school. So, I do know the Bible. But with that being said, yes, in her voice, it sounded like a demon was talking on her video about me. It was very creepy. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
This is
It
too,
it
this is
sounded
too
like a
eerie.
demon. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I grew up Catholic school. Matter of fact, on one of my community posts, I had me standing next to the priest with my little mischievous eyes, like, Mama, if you only knew. And I still have her purple and white rosaries. But yes, I grew up in Catholic school,
Mhm.
catechism,
Yep.
all all of
Mhm.
that. Saturday was our church days. I swear we had to kneel and get up, kneel and get up. I even remember parts of, not all of them now, the Apostles' Creed
Mhm.
that we had, and then we had to go to confession. So I remember you
Yeah.
just brought back old memories. But yes, that
Yeah.
is how I grew up, and we had to come home and do those rosaries. My mother was no joke.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yes, that what I it, what I spoke about, I've seen it in men, but because we're speaking about women, I've seen it in the eyes of women as well. I don't know if it's all spiritual. I don't know if, and again, these are just my thoughts. I don't know if some of these things could possibly be drug induced, but
Mhm.
I have seen literally eye color change, voice change. Sometimes, if you look closely, faces actually, even if it's briefly, will distort.
Mhm.
Have you seen
Wow.
that?
No, I haven't seen the faces, but the voice, yes. The voice, yes. And because I believe in, a higher being, which is Jesus Christ, I do believe in he is my savior. Because I have that connection, I feel like my discernment lets me know who I'm dealing with. And you know, it just feels like if Satan could talk to you, the nasty things that these people say, that's what he would say if he could talk to us flesh, if that makes sense. So when these people are like attacking you, in my opinion, I feel like they're possessed. Well, in my case, I feel like this lady is possessed with something because she is just way too hateful. And she doesn't come on her channel as far as she always keeps the camera off. She states that she's using a fake name for her channel. So she's in hiding. She uses a VPN. She doesn't want to be found, but yet she feels it's okay to find other people and throw their information to the world, while she remains in hiding.
Well,
So,
keep
yeah.
keep strong in knowing that anybody, it may take time, can be found,
Mm-hmm.
including myself. I have been. So nobody truly can stay under a bunker. I mean, you've had
Mm-hmm.
elected officials found. So, and that's another thing. A lot of law enforcement will let you know they've been doxxed, and they have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are federal websites. I kid you not, that will not only tell you where certain people work, but they also will display their salaries.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So,
Right.
honestly, this information age, if you will, if you have somebody that is heck bent on finding out anything, and yes, there's safeguards, I understand that, but there's also too much free floating information around, and people like to always liken it to the dark world. Not all information is on the dark world, some is sitting right there in front of your face. You just need to know where to go get it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
So, you mentioned something earlier about what comes out of people. To me, just like when you hear a male call a female the B word,
Mhm.
when you hear women calling each other, the 304,
Mhm.
basically,
Mhm.
if it's so easy to roll off of your tongue, how how are you acting within your home or perhaps
Mhm.
your workplace? Because if it is so easy to come off your tongue on social media in an audience where you probably don't know many of them personally, who's to say that same behavior isn't exuded in your real life?
Oh, I'm sure. I think that is worse at home, in my opinion. I feel like, it's a lot of verbal abuse going on at home.
So do
And
you think it's verbal abuse taken upon that person, so that person, being the woman, um, has to make themselves feel better or stronger by coming on and attacking others?
yes, that could be one reason. It could be their outlet.
Wow.
I feel like a lot of these people, grew up being bullied maybe in their childhood. They were subjected to a lot of taunting and, maybe even harassment of some nature while they were children. I believe some of these people may have been abused as children, and
Absolutely.
they grew up, never got the help they needed, never got the treatment. And they're out here in society and they're getting on these social media platforms and they're just a result of what they went through. So now they're spewing it on other people. People like me, people like you, and many others, that don't deserve that. But these are unstable, unhinged people.
Absolutely. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if you heard or not, but there are some that are so dark. And again, I'm just speaking about the women right now that will go so far as calling jobs, perhaps sponsorships. Um, I've heard even some talking about calling wives. Now, I'm not married, I have a companion, but you must be a strong, bold female to call someone's wife. See, I don't know where a lot of people are from, but where I'm from, that can get you hurt.
Right, right. And this person that's harassing me, she's known to call. If she finds out you have a probation officer, she's known to call there to
Yes,
lie. She's known to call if she finds out where you work, your job. She's known to call CPS and make up false allegations to in an effort to get your children took out your home. Um
you sure you're not in our sector? Because you sound like you're talking about
I don't know.
somebody. Well, I know it's not, but I mean,
Yeah.
that must be their sister or conjoined twin.
Possibly, Yeah,
Oh
I
my
mean, just
God.
all kind of horrible, unnecessary, just, you know, hateful, pure hate to do something like that to people, to try to just tear them down to where there's nothing left, basically.
Andrea says, never lie directly gives me blueprint of heart, mind, and soul complexion, body blue, raised arms. Wow.
Mhm.
It's when you hear these stories about how women do other women, it makes me want to fall back into empath mode, but at the same time, it makes me want to ask, and audience, excuse me, but who do who do you think you are that gives
Mhm.
you the right to disrupt other people's lives just
Mhm.
because you might be miserable or you haven't healed?
Mhm. Mhm. It makes me want to say, "Who hurt you, sis?" Like, my God, who hurt you? Go get help for that. You're sick.
Absolutely, but I think some people may be receiving help. It may not be working, or maybe
Mhm.
they need to change providers. But from what I see in this particular situation, I only see it getting worse. And
Mhm.
it's not just one, there's several. I mean, what you're speaking about, if I didn't know any better, like I said, these could be sisters, but yes, I believe that the root is pain, but
Mhm.
is it childhood? Is it something that happened professionally? But at the same time, once you are in your late 40s or 50s and you have all of these decorated accolades that some of us have to hear over and over, but you still exude hate.
Mhm.
Well, maybe not hate, I don't really want to use that word, but a strong disdain for certain people. Um,
Mhm.
you like to make fun of a person's speech, perhaps,
Mhm.
appearance, perhaps, um, any type of good deed they may be trying to do. You downplay that. You, you, not you, Queen, but the individuals play victim and forget about everyone else. The spotlight basically has to be on them. And if it doesn't shine brightly, I think some things, again, I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion based on everything that I've seen. Again, what I've seen. I think a lot of things, there's some fabrication mixed in with some truth.
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if the other person sounds familiar. Do you see that in that individual or no?
Yes. And then I would just like to add too that in my opinion, I feel like because it's so deep seated that, this person that I'm dealing with, I feel like her stuff is deriving from something that happened in her childhood, and it's just something that just grew and grew and grew, and she found a niche, on social media where she's getting empowered, if that makes sense. And this is her
Yes,
way of dealing with whatever trauma, injected to. And they come on here with a fake persona about themselves. Oh, I have all this money. I have all these businesses. I have all these cars, and my bank account is this one and that one, and how much is this and that. And I feel like those are fake personas, that's not the real person. But they
especially
come.
when you're on social media. and on panels over
Yeah.
8 hours a day.
Oh yeah. And that's this person. She goes 2 3 hours 2 to 3 times a day. So if
But do
you
they
own this,
but
how
do
do
they
you
ever
have
claim to
time?
have a mental
Right.
health issue? Because
Right.
if you have a
No.
mental health issue, there's no way in, I was about to say something bad, there's no way in the world you
Mhm.
can spend that much time unless, let me take that back, rewind, unless that is your form of virtually medicating, is by using
Mhm.
social media.
Yeah. Apparently. Yeah. That's what it appears to be, in my opinion. Um, it's like they get off on, causing someone else pain because maybe they've been caused pain for long periods of time. So now, they found a niche where they can inflict harm and make others, feel uncomfortable because they've been made to feel uncomfortable. I'm not a psychiatrist, but in my opinion, I just feel like some of the psychology behind people like this because, a normal person would not do these types of things.
That's the operative word, normal. But you let some people say it, they're above or beyond
Mm,
normal, and
right.
you're the sick individual, but
Hmm.
never taking accountability for errors or mistakes in judgment. And we all make them. I mean, if we
Right.
didn't, there wouldn't be a delete key or a whiteout or
Hmm.
erasers. That's what those are for. We make mistakes, but at the same time, we have to own our bones. And
Hmm.
we all have bones. The bones may not be the same size, but we all have them. I'm taking
Yeah.
some of my bones to the grave, but I'm not going to come up here and belittle anyone else. I will call BS when I see
Hmm.
it. And it is getting to the point where certain things are beyond control now. And again, if you allow a person to speak long enough and just listen and observe, they'll show you their colors and they'll fall in that trap that they're planning for other people. You cannot go through life. You should not after the age of 50. Honestly, 35 and above, you shouldn't even be thinking in that type of way. But if your goal is waking up thinking about, okay, who can I get next? Or go to
Hmm.
sleep thinking, okay, I've got that taken care of. What does that say about who you really are? And like you mentioned earlier, you can't serve two. Who are you serving? You're
Hmm.
quoting scripture, but your behavior, to me, you're serving someone else.
Hmm. Exactly.
It's a warfare, and I think a lot of people go through that. I went through it at a period of time, and I will say honestly, it is not an easy thing to go through. Sometimes you have to isolate and go into deep prayer.
Hmm.
You really do. But the first thing is to understand. But number two, which is the hardest, most difficult, I believe, is accepting, okay, I've gone into a deep place. I know that I'm here. What do I do and how do I get out? But some of us won't admit to that. And I don't know if it's because of fear. Maybe they're comfortable. I don't know. Or maybe that dark spirit is just too strong. I don't
Hmm.
know. Because again, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist. I definitely um, have never attended any school of divinity. These are just feelings that I have for being around for so long and dealing with certain personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense, and I will never able to make sense of it. It's just too complex. The minds of people and how their minds work that bring them to do the things that they do. I mean, I'll never understand it. I don't even think I want to understand it.
No, because it's too much energy. Um,
Yeah.
I have forgiven people, and I've done it for me. Had I not,
Mhm.
um, I may not still be on social media. Had I
Mhm.
listened to um, all of those comments and just whatever. Sometimes you have to use that as your strength. Sometimes
Mhm.
when you speak up on things, you will learn. And I'm sure you have. You sound very articulate and well versed that speaking up is often unpopular.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
will you'll gain more that will go against you when
Mhm.
you first speak up.
Mhm.
So it's the like-minded people that will gravitate towards you. And trust me, in time, once those spirits collide, the right people will gravitate. But you have to also realize we've got a variety of spirits walking God's green earth,
Mhm.
and they come in different forms.
Yes, they do.
And
Mhm.
one thing people don't understand, and you can chime in, they don't come disheveled, they come dressed in their Sunday best with
Mhm.
the highest level of vocabulary. Well, at least some think it's the highest level. But no, they're not going to come in any negative way. They're going to come to you at their best,
Mhm.
reel you in, and once you get settled and comfortable, that's when the attack ensues.
Mhm.
That's my
Yeah.
opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. And the way I was raised, my mom always said they send their representative. It's
Yes,
never the real person, you know. So you just have to be able to see through that, and vet people, as much as you can, because you just never know who you're dealing with, you know.
absolutely. And it's sad because at one point in time, we we never had to do this, and sometimes I feel guilty. Do you?
Yeah. I feel guilty for it, but I don't feel bad for it at the same time. Like it's just something that it's life. It's the way of the world. In order to protect ourselves, this is something that we have to do, and I'm learning the learning process for me. You learn something every day, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. And you have to be willing to learn, though. Some people
Hmm.
are not. I
Yeah.
love knowledge. I always say I want to be around people who are 10 times as advanced as myself, where I can learn and glean
Hmm.
information because information truly is power. And if you are around the same people that cannot add, and that doesn't mean you have to distance yourself, but you also need to be around people who can show you different things, or different perspectives, or where you can learn something different that will elevate you. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Andrea
Yeah,
says,
you should want. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, I was reading Andrea's comment. She says, no
Hmm.
self love, death from traumatic experiences, unable to draw strength from within loneliness. I think that is a perfect word. Bitterness,
Mhm.
that's another good word. Need sympathy or enablers,
Mhm.
another perfect word. To feel important. So I'm going
Mhm.
to extract loneliness, bitterness, sympathy, and enablers. To
Mhm.
feel important. Andrea dropped some
Perfect.
gems.
Yeah, that was
Absolutely.
perfect. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
loneliness is different from being alone.
Mhm.
You can be around several people but still feel loneliness. Do you agree
Mhm.
or disagree?
Yes. Still feel by yourself, even though you're around people. Yes. Mhm.
Bitterness,
Yeah.
past hurts that may not have been, as you mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
acknowledged or treated.
Mhm. Mhm.
Needs sympathy. I would say to need sympathy using a diagnosis, perhaps as a crutch, or playing
Mhm.
victim as a
Mhm.
crutch. What would you say
Mhm.
as far as need sympathy?
Playing victim. Yes. The villain always knows how to play victim very well.
Oh,
Mhm.
please expound on that. That was a that took me aback.
Well, I mean, these type of people, in my estimation, they know how to manipulate, and I feel like manipulation is a form of witchcraft, but that's a whole nother subject, you know.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Yeah, that's deep, but that word has floated around a lot this week. Manipulation.
mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, once they know how to use manipulation tactics, they can they can mind screw you in any kind of way they want to, um, into believing whatever they need you to believe. And if that means believing that they're the victim, then that's what you're going to believe, and that's that heavy manipulation.
You just oh my good oh if you oh my goodness. If you what did Patty LaBelle say? If only you knew. And some tea I want to drop, but I'm not going to do it. But yeah, we're going to have to talk about the manipulation slash
Hmm.
witchcraft, and definitely have a panel on that, because some of the things that I have seen women do, and to me, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but some other women I've seen almost enamored. And when it comes to some of these men, I'm looking at them like, what is wrong with you?
Hmm.
But when you said witchcraft, and I'm looking at a particular situation right now, and I'm scratching my temple like it had to be something very potent through the airwaves.
Hmm.
That's interesting, but that definitely has to be another topic, excellent one.
Hmm.
And enablers to feel important. It almost ties in, but again, yes, you have to have. You're almost looking at a host, if you will, and then the carriers. Like when you
Hmm.
have these viruses, you have to have a host and you have to have carriers.
In order to survive, yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So again, I see this, well, at least through my lens, through my hypothesis, if you will. Um, that is what I see. Others may disagree, and you're welcome to that. Again, please, please do not agree with everything that I say. I don't want to engage with robots. I want people that may have, dissenting opinions. These things
Mhm.
are important,
Right.
but um, I definitely believe in what Andrea said towards the end, enablers to feel important.
Mhm. And the more they can recruit with their manipulation, then the better for them. It just heightens their empowerment, you know?
But do you think it is also um, a chemical release as well with the enablers and that rush you get when you feel important?
Well, I think that they're feeding off of each other,
Oh, wow.
because they're attracting the same type of people that are like themselves, in my opinion.
I
So,
likened it.
it just makes it easier for the pullers to attach to these type of people.
That's really interesting. I would
Mhm.
always say, if you go to a place that's really, really dark, and when I say dark, I mean where people are wishing death on
Mhm.
others and family members, and you mean to tell me you don't have anyone in your chat or your supporters that can't speak to you behind the scenes and say, hey, you know, that's a bit dark. I don't think that's something that should be said. That's when, to me, your supporters should be held accountable as well. Because,
Mhm.
as you said, they're feeding off of that. And it's almost, and I've said this before as my analogy, it's like a little ant that found a crumb that's poison. They'll
Mhm.
take that crumb back to their colony. The other little ants will eat it. And before you know it, the entire colony is poisoned with that venom.
Right. And it's like they say, birds of a feather flock together, So you have to be that type of person to hang with that type of person, you know? And I mean, I just feel like they found their mate, you know? It's what floats their boat. And so they gravitate to that type of negativity and just disgusting nature that these type of people have.
That's sad because I would like to, like every content creator, and I do listen to a lot, but as I said, when it goes dark, then I have to say bye bye. But
Mhm.
I cannot break and will not break bread with anyone who's wished death upon me or anyone else. And
Mhm.
then when you go so far as speaking ill on children,
Mhm.
especially those who may, God forbid, have special needs
Mhm.
or have passed away, you've gone to you've gone to a depth that, I'm sorry, I can't join that.
Mhm. Yeah, very low. They go very, very low. And, for me, that's demonic, when you're speaking that ill of people and children, especially.
So solutions. I mean, we speak on it. Um, I know that I have, when I've heard certain people say certain things, I've expressed myself, but I cannot tell and I won't tell anyone how to run their platform. But I have said I support you. But if I see other people saying certain things, I'm going to have to leave until it's over with. If I come back and you're still on the same thing, I'll leave out again Because again, you can't control um, certain things. You can control what you do, but you can't control others. And
Mhm.
again, this platform, I believe, is safe. Um, you might get a few that may slip through, but for the most part, it's safe here. Um, you won't see a lot of people, which is good. Some people may say, well, that it's not that many people over there. Well, honestly, I I don't know if I would be able to handle a bunch of folk. I guess financially, that's supposed to be a good thing, or views or whatever. But right now, that's not my focus. That's not my focus. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be if I believe in the creator is laying my steps for me. If this is the amount of people he wants me to have, then who am I to say I'm supposed to have more?
Mhm. Right.
And I'm at peace. And the thing is, I don't want people to see a bunch of trolls and negative remarks and feel as though, well, I don't want to come there because I don't want someone to come to my page and then start doing that. And, you know, my members or subscribers, may feel a certain way. When I say protect the integrity of your platform, that means the entire platform, not just me, but the people that come to support, because they have pages too, or they may have relatives that come in to listen. And you may leave them open to unwarranted and unsolicited attacks by
Mhm.
miserable people that need help, and I believe know they need help, but refuse to, number one, accept it, and number two, go seek it.
Right.
And I'm not going to tolerate it. The minute I see it, I know some people say to give them a warning. My warning is read my disclaimer before you come in here. The first time, you're gone. You're gone. Because just as you said, your passion is to help people that's been through domestic issues. You're a survivor. You are a advocate. Why should you be silenced? That's almost like, quite honestly, what a terrorist wants when they target people.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
want that silence, which is
Right.
unfortunately a tactic of a bully,
Mhm.
a harasser, and a cyberbully. And another thing on your side is you do know, even though this person says they have a VPN, I'm not sure how true that is, but there are certain ways, and your legal team can advise you. You can find out certain things, especially depending upon the type of email that they send.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree because I have a right to know who I'm dealing with. Especially if you're threatening my safety by,
Absolutely.
putting my information out, and I need to know who you are.
And YouTube has that information. Is
Mhm.
this person monetized?
Yes.
Well, your legal team should have drawn up paperwork. You can upload that paperwork on that individual, to let YouTube know. And I believe you can send it to either legal support, or there may be another. entity where you have to go to. I'll have to research that, but um, a lot of people have done that, and people's channels actually have been removed. It may have been temporarily, but that's what they needed to do, was to have that court or legal documentation sent up through YouTube. And if they're monetized, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, if you could let me know what that is so that I can pass that to who I need to pass it to get that done, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I've heard, and I'm not going to mention his name because he fusses with everybody, but he's done that, and a person's channel went bye bye for a while. Um, he's way out in another sector somewhere, but yeah, you file paperwork, you send it up, and again, there's injunctions, cease and desist. Again, depending on the mindset, you'll have people for whatever reason will laugh at that and think it's a joke or not take it serious. Um, but certain paperwork they won't laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea says, I called them fungus bacteria tongue spewing acid individual.
Perfect.
Andrea
Once
is a mess.
again. Yes, Andrea. Once again. Perfect.
I tell you, I don't know if it's the time of morning, but she'll come up with some big ones. But it's the truth, and it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it has to come to where if you truly care about these people, that the supporters have to start speaking up. I think some of them don't because they may, as you said earlier, they may be afraid of being
Mm-hmm.
attacked, or if it's a large platform, they may be afraid that they'll no longer get that recognition and
Mm-hmm.
that traction. And
Mm-hmm.
that again, that makes me question you. What's more important, the traction or your spirit and soul?
I mean, for me, it's my spirit, energy, and soul. Um,
Mm,
I want to protect my energy. I want, that stuff coming through my devices into my home.
yes.
And yeah, because that
And
type of thing can be, it can alter the mood of your home, whether you know it or not. It can really affect you in negative ways. So, we want to protect our energy first and foremost. And I just don't prefer to go back and forth, hooping and hollering and yelling and foaming at the mouth with people on an app. That sounds ridiculous. And I just don't choose to do that. It's like, leave me alone. You do what you do over there. Kindly let me I'm here. What is the problem with that? I just don't.
absolutely, absolutely. You just said a very important thing. Energy can definitely transfer. I've spoken on this before. The
Mhm.
transference of energy. You listen too long, it can rub off. It's almost like, again, and this is for a different topic, but it's like soul ties. Um, and I'm not sure how much you may know about that,
Mhm.
but that is a strong, powerful energy.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why I became vegan, and audience and those who may listen to the replay, I have absolutely no judgment on those who consume meat, poultry, fish. I don't. I'm a raw vegan, but that's just my choice. I did it for health reasons and a lifestyle change. But people are free to do what they want to do, what's best for them. So I had to put that out there. But the reason why I became vegan, I was listening to a documentary and they were talking about, and this doesn't happen with all animals, but they were speaking about the ones where um, they were slaughtered, and you have to think about how they feel because animals are a lot more intelligent than what people give them credit for.
Mhm.
Some, I believe, know that they're about to be slaughtered, and you have to think about what they may be thinking at that time. You're consuming that. So you wonder why some people are walking around half crazy, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Mhm.
Again, these are just my opinions. Because, like, if you have a little puppy and you're training them, you see how they put their heads down? They
Yeah.
know.
Mhm. No, that makes sense because when we consume that meat, of that animal, they felt pain before they were slaughtered. You don't know what pain they felt at that moment. And
And
then,
anxiety.
yeah, and then we go ahead and we pick up those meats in the store and everything, and we bring it home and we eat that stuff. So no, I can understand where you're coming from. That makes perfect sense
So
when
that
you really
is,
think about it. Yeah.
yeah, and that was my reason. Again, there are people that hunt, fish to feed their families. Again, absolutely no judgment, but that in itself is, well, that and my health issues are the reason why I decided to be a raw vegan, which means if it has eyes, I'm not going to eat it. But if I have company and they want that, then to be fair, excuse me, I'll go ahead and prepare.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I won't eat it. And it's because of that. So, again, people that actually raise their own animals,
Mhm.
I think they take much better care, and it's not inhumane. Well, I would hope and pray that it isn't, but those are things that those are just things that I live my life by. Again, I'm not saying or shoving it down the throats of anyone. It's just how I choose to live my life. So hopefully
Right.
nobody's offended by that because you're free to do what you want to do. I mean, honestly, there are some Sundays when I'm making quinoa instead of rice. I'm sitting there pretending that it's rice and a nice honey bourbon slab of salmon because
Mm.
I used to love preparing that, especially on a plank. I mean, I
Mhm.
love cooking, but because I
Mhm.
gave that up, and actually, salmon is a good fatty fish along with sardines. They're rich in omega, but
Mhm.
I just don't eat those anymore. So, again, for those that do, those are good in your omega 3s. So,
Mhm.
again, um, you have to do what's best for you. And again,
Right.
we all have different choices. And as far as this bullying, I would think at a certain age, one would know that certain choices can lead to consequences,
Mhm. Mhm.
consequences that may contribute to a cessation of the freedoms that you know and enjoy. And
Mhm.
women are not exempt from being put behind bars
Right.
or some of their privileges taken away or not being promoted or invited to things because they now have these blemishes on their records. And to me, at a certain age, and you're still dealing with that, that's a problem. There
Mm-hmm.
are people at this age group, and it's never too late, that have changed their lives around. They've been given a second chance and they're doing the right thing. And then
Right.
we have some that they just haven't learned, or like you said, maybe they just haven't healed,
Mm-hmm.
but there are resources to do that. And there are a lot of conversations about this bullying, harassment, and cyberbullying that you'll see, not on that just on this platform, but um, on different platforms. So if you ever see them pop up, I would implore you to pop in, talk about it, or if you ever feel comfortable enough, maybe under a different name, um, speak about it and invite some folks, because it's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important, because it's happening too much,
Mm-hmm.
too often. 2023, I have never seen the amount of harassment and doxing. Like I said, I saw it twice today.
Mm-hmm.
There were troll people, but they actually put up a young lady's name and address. One of the mods was able to get it out quickly, but I'm not sure if anyone else saw that. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I just can't even imagine how she felt.
Mm-hmm. And the other side of you is, like for me, like I said, I'm a survivor of domestic violence and everything like that. But when these people are boxing people, they're playing a dangerous game because they don't know if the person's abuser might come across this information that they're putting out, this addresses and
Yes,
everything like that. It may be fun and games, but at the time it's not, because I mean, like a person like me, and there's lots of other women and men who are survivors of violence that are in protective custody. They've changed
yes,
their names. They've went through, drastic measures to protect their safety and their new life and everything like that. And then you have these people like this one I'm dealing with, who is going to put your information out. As she states, I'm going to look you up, I'm going to put this out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I mean, the flip side of that, for a protected group like the one that I'm in, you're putting my safety in danger, you know, and
absolutely.
that should be totally unacceptable on the behalf of YouTube or any other social media platform, to sit there and allow this type of to happen. You know, I don't understand it. It's wrong.
That is why I mentioned, please Google when you get the opportunity, um, lawsuits, class action lawsuits filed against YouTube,
Hmm.
because there are several, and you have to read the captions and what they're being charged with. And again, YouTube, especially if you have a partnership with them, they have specific guidelines. I mean, they don't have a problem if I play a music clip 1 second longer than I should, with almost instantaneously in my notification, we've received a copyright claim. So you can do that on a damn musical note, but
Hmm.
someone's threatening my life or putting my private information out, and I get a message, can you please provide the time, stamp, and date when this occurred? Can you show exactly in the video Okay, you do it once, and then, hi, this is such and such, following up for my colleague. Can you provide? And I'm like, I just did this. So
Yeah.
the third time I said an expletive, I most certainly did. I'm like, no, you do it. I'm done. I took it outside of YouTube because that, to me, could be a tactic for you to just go away and not bother them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but on the flip side, certain people can get things done quickly. So again, you have to be tenacious with it. But if you find yourself doing something repetitive, I mean, when you're going into your fifth and sixth time with a
Mm-hmm.
sixth person coming to you, hi, I'm stepping in from JoJo, asking you the same exact thing, then you already know. You know what? I've done my documentation, and you'll also get an email of what your discussion was. Go outside of YouTube. You did what you had to do,
Mm-hmm.
and let your legal team deal with it. Um, Definitely get the URLs if you have your documentation. You can actually have your attorney subpoena you to, especially if that person is monetized because they had to upload their license and tax information. So it's not a difficult thing to do. Your lawyers can do that for you.
Okay.
So I can
Absolutely.
tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's a start. So, and you don't even have to communicate that to that individual. As a matter of fact, it would be best not. The element of surprise is the best surprise,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you've warned that individual. And again, to be fair, yes, warn them. The warning doesn't work. You have to do what you need to do to protect you and your family. And again, people who laugh and think, oh, she's not going to do anything, you have to show them different. And I think once one or two people are made an example, then others may, not a guarantee, but others may tighten up and say, you know what, we can roast them, but all this other extra we may want to leave alone.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Because I mean, you're doing too much when you start taking it upon yourself to do background checks to get people's information. Like, that's ridiculous. And I mean, once you find that information out, okay, what are you going to do with it?
Oh, well, there's people allegedly that have offered to pay people to get information.
Mm, mm, mm.
And these are women.
Wow.
It's almost like watching Set It Off on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And every character is Cleo.
Mm, mm, mm.
Every
Mm,
character
mm,
is
mm.
Cleo. And you know what happened to Cleo at the end.
Right.
And that's not saying that I'm threatening anyone. Let me make that be clear. But yeah, she went out like a champ, but she went out again. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. It's
Mhm.
not worth it.
It's
You
really
can
not.
you can do your content. You can critique. People do that. You can react. Some of the reactions may not be favorable,
Mm-hmm.
but the darkness, you can do it without being dark. You can do it without putting innocent people involved in whatever you're going through, whatever miserable mess you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair. And as I said, it might be next week, but I plan to go to my state house. Everything is drafted to try to get legislation on the books to get something out there for people who are suffering from this. Also, let me type something in for you. Let me know if you see it. But there's a
Okay.
site that may help you. And another one. For whatever jurisdiction you're in. But VineLink is a website for, say, someone was incarcerated in jail
Mhm.
or prison. I think it's jail for VineLink. These are statewide. It's also for victims. Say someone was arrested for online stalking and they may get a few days or whatever. You can go in there if you're the victim and find out when that person is going to be released, just so you'll know, um, if you feel as though you need to beef up security or anything like that. And then there's a wealth of crime victims organizations and groups as well. You're an advocate, so some of these things you already would know about that, but for others who may not, and I'm sure there's so many that may be going through some of the same things, but for fear of retaliation or it may be happening to them, they may not want to speak up. There are resources out there, and most importantly, just know you're not alone. There are many of us that have gone through it. Some of us are still going through it. Um, it may not be the same degree, but any harassment, bullying, cyberbullying is wrong. Cyberbullying is more dangerous and foolish to the perpetrator because not only are you using electronic means, the victim can cross over and go into the federal court system. And that's where the perpetrators can really find themselves in a bind. You can find out so many things. You can get the FCC involved. That's the Federal Communications Commission because you're using electronic means. I mean, it's you can find that out on the FBI website as well,
Okay.
and you can also Google the OAG.
Mhm.
Or a matter of fact, Google AUSA for your jurisdiction, and that acronym, for those who don't know, is the Assistant United States Attorney.
Mhm.
And OAG, you can add that as well. And you can do a search on cyberbullying cases and just read on some of these cases that have been prosecuted. Look at the opinions, look at the meat and potatoes of those cases. And if you decide with your legal team this is something you want to pursue federally, then use those tools as a guide to how you may want to set your things up. Again, it really depends on if this person is still doing these things to you or perhaps leached on to someone else.
Mhm.
Again, it has to stop. Someone, unfortunately, will have to set the precedent.
Mhm.
Those are good resources to look and read on these cases.
Okay.
And trust me,
Absolutely.
they're out there.
Right. Thank you for that information. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I hope your speaking has given you some semblance of relaxation and calm.
It did actually, just lifted my spirits a little bit. Like I said, it's just it wasn't my in my wildest dreams to have to be going through this over trying to do something right, you know. But hey, this is what we have to go through, I guess. And I'm the
It's the
right one.
adversary. It's the adversary. Whenever you try to do right, you know he's going to be right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, but no weapon form. The weapons are gonna form, but
Oh
we
my
have to
God,
trust
yes.
that they won't prosper. So we just have to stay strong,
Yes,
and that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm thankful that I came across your channel and everything, and you allowed me to come up here and talk to you and get all this great information. So I really appreciate you, and I just want you to know that. And anytime you would like to have me on your panel, I'm there. In
absolutely.
in
Um,
regards to this topic. So yeah.
yes, and also domestic violence, if
Mm-hmm.
that's something you want to speak about, because I do know that there is a population of women because they may not have resources or the education to leave. Unfortunately, they feel stuck. So I think this is something very critical and important for that population to hear. And
Right.
it is not um, race specific at all. We already know if we watch the movie The Burning Bed
Mm-hmm.
with Farrah Fawcett,
Yes.
um, it's not black people, it's not white people, it's all women,
Yeah. All
especially
women,
our
all
Middle
colors.
Eastern
Yeah.
sisters. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And our Asian sisters.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I've seen some things in my area that I'm like, oh
Mm.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it has been so refreshing speaking to you. And unfortunately, your story, and I kid you not, and some of the people in this chat will say the same thing. Are you talking about the same person? I know that they're not, but, and I don't mean to laugh, but if like I said, Patti LaBelle, if only you knew,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds almost the same, but I
Mm-hmm.
guess a narcissistic personality would be almost the same.
Yes. Absolutely. They carry the same traits, that's for sure. So yeah, I guess it's one in each sector.
I think it's a little bit more than that, but some are stronger. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
have the the captain, I guess, and then the little, I don't know what comes after captain. I guess the little foot soldiers. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
yes, just be cognizant of your followers again.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever share things with people, expect them, especially if they start to feel a certain way, for it to come out. And I've always said, whatever I've said in an email, it comes out, I'll repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any problem with it.
Right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate you've got to walk on eggshells now, wondering, okay, if I say this and they get mad, or if it's misinterpreted, is this going to be plastered all over the place? So just be prepared. Whatever you say to
I am.
somebody.
Yeah, I learned a hard lesson, not being versed in this social media stuff. So, yeah, you're right. I get it now, totally.
I mean, and that's something we all learn. But again,
Mhm.
it's a learning process. unfortunately and sadly, women have to go through with this, but when you know better, hopefully you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll end it with, and again, for those of you who know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And again, it could be a rumor, it could just be clickbait, but please, whatever you do, don't send anybody any pictures of your body parts. And I'll leave it
Absolutely not.
at, I'll leave it at that. So everyone that came in, my members, my mods, my supporters, subscribers, and my guest queen, thank you so much for, again, your courage for coming up, sharing your story, sharing what you have done, showing just being poised in
Mhm.
all of this and being able to laugh and smile through everything that you've gone through.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, you can't let it kill your vibe.
No,
You still have to stand strong and, stand in your morals and what you believe in. And you can't let things like this break you. So, I'm still standing at the end of the day.
and I think that's what is required of us to take us to the next
Hmm.
level. So if you can
Right.
stand through this, when the next storm comes, and ladies and gentlemen, trust me, there's always going to be a storm. If you
Hmm.
can navigate towards the next one, when the other one comes, you'll be stronger. I think it's almost like a building block. Let's see how you handle this. And they'll
Hmm.
move you up, and then
Hmm.
you'll continue to go up.
Yeah.
And that's how you inspire people. And they'll look at you like,
Yeah.
wow, yes,
Another notch on your belt. Another notch on your
absolutely.
belt. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you have
Hmm.
inspired me that not only being a survivor and now you're going through this, and again, courageous enough to speak about it and even offer solutions. So
Hmm.
you're you're an inspiration.
Thank
And I
you.
think not just to me, but others that have listened to your story. So
Mhm.
hopefully knowing that may have helped you in your initial question if you should continue, what inspired you to start your page.
I think I got some confirmation on that tonight. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
I like to hear that.
Hmm.
All right.
Thank
Well,
I appreciate it. You all
you're
have a
welcome.
good rest of your night and everything like that. And it was my pleasure with speaking with you. And take care. Be safe.
You as well. Have a blessed night, everyone. And thank you for tuning in.
Bye bye.
Bye bye now. Take care.
You too.
Bye bye. Oh, everyone. And Andrea, let me get your last message. Great Therapeutic Live and Queen. People think my mind is like a soggy bowl. Andrea, you are a mess. It might be a soggy bowl of cereal, but you know what? It goes down smooth without any indigestion. Where it's crunchy, you may have some issues. So I rather have soggy than indigestion. So again, thank you for always coming in with your gems and your laughter and your positivity. Thank you to everyone that joined in on this very important topic. We'll be speaking about this more in the future. Um, Women, we need to get it together. Again, I am not perfect. I'm still a work in progress. But again, I'm not keeping my mouth closed anymore. This behavior has to stop, eventually. And it can. We can edify and uplift one another if we truly have these conversations and are honest about it and understand each other why we feel a certain way. We can coexist. I believe that. And I pray that we can one day, but we have to have these conversations and an open mind. So, with that, you all, as Queen said, be safe, be well, have a peaceful night, and prayerfully, a grand rising in a few hours. I will be having a live tomorrow evening. The information, I always call him Info Man. I hope I don't say it tomorrow. The Information Man show will be on this platform 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. If there are any scheduling changes, I'll make sure to give you ample time to note that on your calendars that there's been a change, but you're feeling free to listen into that broadcast. We will be speaking about Mexico, Shanquella Robinson, also Angela Bassett and the Oscars, and Michael Irvin and his defamation case. After my interview with the Information Man show. So, for those that are interested, feel free to tune in. If not, you can catch the replay. So, again, thank you all. Enjoy your Saturday morning or perhaps Sunday, depending upon where you are on the globe. Take care and bye bye for now.